Good evening and welcome to the November 13th Commission on Disabilities meeting. If we could all please stand and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do a roll call of the members. Vice Chair Rick Frenny.
Present.
Michelle DeBellis.
Present.
Robert Bent.
Present.
Pauline Perno.
Present.
Enza Goodwin is absent. And Albert Sheridan is absent. If I could first have someone take up item 1 for me on the agenda.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes from October 9th, 2018.
I'll second it.
Okay, seconded, thank you. Item number 2 is it's going to be it's a little bit different. As you can see, there's one new person sitting up here at the table here, and we wanted to welcome Pauline Perno. She's one of our new members on the Commission on Disabilities. We also have another new member, but he's a little bit ill tonight. It's Albert Sheridan. This will fill our commission, so we are going to have a full commission finally, which we are greatly happy about. So I wanted to welcome and introduce Pauline to the Commission on Disabilities and have her say a few words about herself, her background, and we welcome you to the commission.
Thank you very much. My name is Pauline Perno. I'm originally from Natick. I've been living in Revere for 20 years. I have 3 kids in the school system. I work within the school system, and I'm also a registered nurse by profession. So I have a varied background, and I hope to bring some new, exciting things to the table.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome. And next month, Albert should be with us. He's recovering from pneumonia, so he apologizes for not being able to be at the meeting. I know he said he would be watching, so Albert, hopefully you feel better. Item number 3 on the agenda, as I'm going to turn it to Vice Chair Rick Frenny. He's going to update us on the All-Inclusive Art Program.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The All-Inclusive Art Program is going very well. We've had 12 children and their parents and/or guardians, grandparents attending with them. We've done it for, I believe, 3 weeks now. And it has been very impressive. Diane Casanello is our art teacher. The projects have been great. The projects were the supplies obviously provided by that grant that we received from Mass General. Thanks to your fine grant writing there, Mr. Chairperson. And this is going to go till the first week of December, I believe. And I'm going to work on another project, but right now it's going very, very well, and couldn't have done it without my colleague, Mr. Robert Bent, and all the parents who sacrifice their Thursday evenings to come on down and help the children out. Rob, why don't you add a few words in there, buddy?
I can't agree with you more, Rick. Our program has been a blast for the kids, for me, and I'm sure for the parents who have been with these kids. The kids have had a blast. I've seen kids leaving the program asking if they can stay and asking if they can come back the next week, which is awesome for the kids. Seeing those little smiles is why we did this. I can't thank Ralph enough for last week, because me and you were both out, and him taking the reins of the program and taking over for us. I really appreciate that, Ralph. Thank you.
Well, I just wanted to thank you two guys for helping to put this together. And just for everyone to know, we do have a City of Revere Commission on Disabilities Facebook page, and we put weekly pictures of all the kids right on there. And you can see by the smiles on their faces that they're having a good time. This was something that was needed in the community for the disabled children. And we're hoping that we are going to be able to build on that and find some other grants out there to hopefully sustain this after the MGH Revere on the Move grant that we had got to start this. So hopefully we'll find ways and funding through the city and other agencies that can help us keep this going. These are programs that are needed for the disabled children in this community. again, thank you, you two, for helping put that together for me. Next on the agenda is item 4, and I'm going to have Michelle take this one for me.
Thank you, Ralph. So this month, we hosted our Halloween party, and it was a wonderful success. The kids had a ball. The CPAC, Revere CPAC, yeah. We had a wonderful DJ, you might know him, Mr. Rick Frenny. You know it. And it was a really, really wonderful turnout. Special thanks to Rick for DJing, everyone that donated candy, and of course our friends at Roro Revere for their donation as well, and all of the family and parents that attended. It was a really nice success. We're having our fundraiser this Thursday at Fuddruckers, November 15th from 5 to 8 p.m. Please come on in, have some great food, and support our group. Also, on Monday the 19th at 6 p.m. at Revere High Learning Commons, we will be hosting Boston versus Bullies. This is a really good, this is going to be a really good presentation, and it's really important for the parents to come out. It'll be from 6, it could go all the way to 8. We do not have any volunteers for the children. This is not a children's event. This is strictly for the parents, and it's very informative. We hope to see everybody come on out for that. Also, I'd like to say that CPAC is selling some tote bags and some wonderful scarves. These are great holiday items. Their cost will be $20 each, and if you're interested, you can contact Ed the Good One for more information. This is also on the Commission of Disabilities website, and also you can find it on the Revere CPAC Facebook page as well. And lastly, we still need donations for our annual holiday party, which will be held on Sunday, December 16th. More information will follow, but if anybody would like to reach out to us, we're looking for any donations. Paper products, juice boxes, packaged snacks is always good. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. I didn't mean to, but I just want to let you know that we have it on both Facebook pages, the CPAC and the Commission on Disabilities, that flyer. Thank you. Anyone else have any scheduled events they'd like to mention before we move on to the next item? Okay. Item number 5 is CODA, the Commission on Disabilities Alliance monthly conference call meeting that I had on Wednesday, November 7th, 2018. The gist of this conference call was discussions with all the different Commission on Disabilities within this region regarding the new MOD commissioner that's looking to be hired. And we have been talking about putting a letter together for the different commissions along the different cities and towns. And what they wanted to see is if the different commissions within the cities and towns were willing to vote and possibly sign a letter going to them with our concerns and what we would like to see for them to look at for a person to fill that role. I had sent a draft of that letter to each of your commission members in advance of this meeting. So what I wanted to do is, I know that the 2 members that are not here are in support, and they had told me via email that they were in support. So I wanted to see if somebody wanted to make a motion that we can figure out a way to make the motion that we accept signing on to this letter that we will send to the powers that be at the state, stating that the Revere Commission on Disabilities is in favor of this. And then if we can do that, then I will put this onto our letterhead, this letter that I had as a draft, and I will have each and every one of us sign it, and then I will send it to CODA, and it will go in with any and all of the other Commission on Disabilities in one lump to the appropriate agencies. So if somebody would make a motion on that.
So this is the letter addressing our concerns along with other cities and town concerns.
Correct.
So at the state level.
Yeah, for the state level, so that when they look to hire someone in that role as a new commissioner of the Mass Office on Disabilities.
Okay.
Because of course, they're going to be somebody that we're going to be looking to work with and for our needs, and, it's
So,
all based out in the letter.
All right, so I will make a motion to accept that we will draft and sign a letter to the Massachusetts Office on Disabilities, that we are in favor, the Revere Commission on Disabilities is in favor of writing and signing that letter to the Mass Office of Disability, correct?
Yes.
All right, that is the motion I am making.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
And can we just have a roll call?
Roll
Rick?
call to accept.
Yeah, Rick Frenny?
Yep, roll call to accept the motion that the Revere Commission on Disability will send a letter to the Mass state level in a joint effort with other cities and towns. Motion is to be in favor of signing and sending this letter on behalf of the Revere COD.
Michelle
Michelle
DeBellis?
DeBellis?
I agree.
Yes.
Yes, I accept.
Robert?
Yes.
Pauline?
Yes.
Okay, and I know Enzer and Albert both did it in an email, so they're a yes, and I am yes, so this motion passes
Unanimously.
unanimously.
Okay.
Thank you. They'll be happy that Rivera's on board with this. Okay, some old business. First is the continued discussion and ideas on Commission on Disabilities subcommittees and duties. So now that we do have a full commission, we should be able to start this for our next month, that everyone will be here. So what I will do is revisit some of our ideas for commissions that we had in previous meetings and try and put that together in an email to everyone. If you have any other ideas, once you see those lists, please forward them to me so we could discuss this at the next meeting and also assign people to different committees. Secondly, the automatic door openers in both City Hall, Legion Building, and also the handicap ramp at the Legion Building. I did receive communications today from both the city auditor's office that the money is appropriated for the handicap ramp, and also what needs to be done for the automatic door openers is that I just need to work on the mayor's office along with the purchases agent to solidify 3 bids for the automatic door openers, both at the basement door at City Hall, the Legion Building front door, and the ISD back door entrance. So I will be working on that so that we can move forward and sustain 3 bids, and then we can move forward on getting that done to get that up and completed. So I just wanted, it wasn't done in time to have that on the agenda, but I did receive communications today, so I just wanted to let everybody know on that.
You've been on that a while,
Yeah, yeah. So, so that's, so hopefully by next month I'll have some, more information on that. I'm learning about how to get everything done for bids and whatnot, so that's where we are on that. I didn't know if anybody else had any other old business on the commission that wanted to state that I neglected to put on this. That we can do under late items?
Yeah.
Okay. So if there's no more old business, I will go item 7, late items or new business. If anybody has any late items or new business?
Hello. So, as you know, I am big on kids with disabilities, having 2 children with autism, and I've done a lot for the schools, a lot for the early intervention and then the kindergarten. And with my daughter in high school, and my little Ricky, who graduated high school a few years back, I noticed that the support for kids with disability falls off greatly at the high school level. Support's always there, middle school and elementary. So we've been, the last few years, we've really been helping out as much as we can. This year, with the coordinated, exhausting efforts of Mr. Chairperson Ralph DeChico, we were able to take one of the special ed teachers at the school. We are scheduling her and a few of her students for some vocational, taking them to Luberto's Bakery, and we are on a mission to cook 10 dozen cupcakes and sell them at the Friday night basketball games for the boys and girls Revere High School teams. Both parents, the parents that are in charge of the concessions on both boys and girls are in 110%, and they said we can come to any game we want to sell the cupcakes for the kids. But we're going to start it off on Friday, and all the money will stay in the classroom. And this could not be possible without Mr. Chairperson Ralph DeChico and him contacting Daniel Lamberto, who's on board helping these kids out. So that's something we want to take up in just a couple of weeks. And if it works out well, it'll be something that'll continue on for months and years after, just another vocational outlet for the kids that was started by the Commission on Disabilities. So I think this is a great thing, and I think this is going to really have a good snowball effect. It's going to get bigger and bigger. So thank you, Mr. Chairperson. And I just want to know the principal, Josh Vidala and Talia, they're so excited about this that we can put something on the plate to really help take these kids, take them out of the school and get some vocational services for them. So thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you. I also spoke to Dr. Vidala today about it, and he was very pleased with it. And like Rick stated, that I did reach out to Danny Liberto, and as everyone knows, he's a great businessman, a great friend of the community, and he's willing to help out in any way possible. So we just got to get the logistics done, find out the basketball schedule, and then myself and what's the teacher's name again?
The wonderful special ed teacher at the high school is Talia Memo.
Talia Memo. We will try and make arrangements to sit with Mr. Liberto and figure out when is a good time to do it, and move along with that. So hopefully this will be coming into fruition within the next couple of weeks. But a lot of thanks goes out to Danny Liberto, who's always there for something that the community needs. So thank you, Danny. Any other new business or any other late items? Just one other late item that I just wanted to update everyone on is hopefully, not sure if we will know by our December meeting if we were issued the state MOD grant that I had tried to apply for the third time for the state to try and get accessibility surveys and needs for the community to be able to bring someone in. This is the third time that I've done it with the state, and we are supposed to know sometime in December. So I'm hoping that we know before that meeting, but I'm not sure. But I had applied for, I believe it was $125,000. I would have to check on that, but what that money would do is it would let us be able to bring an outside consultant in to go through all the buildings, city areas, to see what is in compliance or what's not into compliance, to help us do that. That's something, since there wasn't a Commission on Disabilities, it hasn't been done in years. Right now, the only way that it's being done is word of mouth. If we see something, if somebody sees something and lets us know. So that would be of a great assistance to us. Secondly, there is going to be another round of MGH Revere on the Move grant that we could apply for, but it can't be applied. We can't apply for the same program that we applied for. So we're going to put our heads together and see what we can do. But before we can apply for that, we have to do a closing analysis of the program that we ran, and we'll put our heads together, me, Rick, and Robert, and get that done. That has to be turned in by December 31st, and our program will end the first week of December. We'll include pictures that we have and all that. And we can, we'll be able to show that it was a success, and that we want to try and find some further funding out there from any other parties to try and sustain that and move forward with that, and also try and bring some other programs in. So that's what I have on that. Not sure if anyone else has anything else. Yep. Okay, next, that That's all I have for late items. Next, we have the open forum. One other thing that I wanted to mention before I go to late forum, I've mentioned it several times, but I wanted to, and anytime I see anyone driving that's in a handicap parking spot that has a handicap placard, I introduce myself to them so they don't get scared when I go up to them, just to remind them to not drive with the handicap placard in their mirror, because it is a state law that police officers, state police, city police, any type of police officers can issue a $50 ticket. It's not well known, but now what the registry is doing, when you do get a renewal placard in the mail, there's a letter that comes along with it that is a reminder. So I want to use this forum here to also remind people, you just don't drive with it in your rearview mirror. Just put it in there when you're parking, and then when you're going to drive, just remember to take it down, because I would hate to see you getting a ticket for that. Not saying that Revere does that, but you never know what some other communities can do. So you don't want to have to I don't want to see anybody having a hardship getting a ticket for something of that nature. So it's just want to remind everyone for that. Also, if you do see any handicap abuse, people parking in handicap spots, don't try and confront them, because it's not the best way to do it. You could, call the Revere Police, take a picture of the car, the license plate if you have a smartphone, where you're at, notate it, let the Revere Police deal with it. We're trying to do that. There's a lot of people that don't have consideration for people that are handicapped and think, well, if we sit in the car, we can stay there. You can't. Please don't put yourself in somebody who's disabled situation and just park in their spot. Somebody needs it. It's there for a reason. It's not there for a convenience for somebody to sit and wait for somebody. There's a reason for handicap spots. So please consider it. If you see me asking you to move, I'm not being mean or inconsiderate to you. It's just that I'm having some considerations for people that are handicapped that have a need for that. So I appreciate your diligence in doing that. The last thing that I have is an open forum. If I have anyone that would like to come and speak, you just come to the microphone, introduce yourself, name and address, and just push the button.
My name is Rocco Falzoni. I was up here when you guys first started your disciplinary commissions, and I met Ralph. Nice guy. And before I go any further, I just want to make it known the fact where this Arrigo administration had put this together, and working with the legislative aides in his office and with Rosalie Vincent, my problem has been well known in Revere for a long time. My corner I live on is 55 Toscano Ave, and we're prone to flooding for 28 plus years. And one of the reasons why we flood down here is because of the inspectional services never did their job. There's been no preventive maintenance down there for all these years. These guys would come in on the Racino administration, and they're still here. Anyway, my issue here is nothing to do with something like that, but in the course of the years, I talked to Ralph about my sidewalk in front of my house, my retaining wall in front of my house, my foundation in front of my house. Because of the 28 years of flooding, I lost my retaining wall, starting to collapse. The sidewalk in front of my house, it was a normal sidewalk, which is 48 inches wide. That sidewalk been there close to, the house was built in 1970, so that sidewalk been there for, I'm going to say about maybe 18, 20 years. And all of a sudden, they built this place called Caruso Court, which is up the street from me. And next thing I know, the city came down and they cut the sidewalk down to 27 inches. And to this day, I've been asking all kinds of questions, why? And I'm getting no answers whatsoever. So I let that go, and it was time to move on. I've been working with the city council since April. What I have here, pictures tell 1,000 stories. What I have here is something similar to what the city council has, but it's not in so much detail what they have. And what I have here for detail is going to show all you guys what I've been going through on that corner on Toscano Ave. And you mentioned the fact where you got placards for handicap parking. The sidewalk in front of my house, people can't get out on the passenger side because it bumps against my retaining wall. I've had family members trying to get out of the car and fall. Because old age, they're clumsy, whatever it was, they fell. Because of the illegal sidewalk and the retaining wall. But neither said than done. My mother was in her middle 90s. She died at 95. She fell trying to get out of the car. And I was just livid. And of course, I was going to go one step further, and I'm going to sue this and sue that. But I said, you know what? It's not in my line to do anything drastic, to do something like that. It's just, I want everybody on the same page that the city council's on, and all you guys up here. And I'm working with the state now. I'm working with the state delegation, with Rosalie Vincent. And we had a meeting in her office with Senator Boncory and Robert DeLeo, Speaker of the House, his legislative aides were all there, and the governor's aides were there as well. So I told them my story. And the reason why I'm letting everybody know about my story is that I would like to have everybody on the same page as each department, whether it's the Revere, the State, Commission on Disabilities. I'm not here to blindside anybody. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I have no idea where I'm going to go on my next step, but I'm really, really, really not done with this. It's gone on for too long. And the reason why I'm bringing it up again, because I was just diagnosed with kidney renal failure, stage 4, and that's my issue. So if I do get sick, that tells me that I can't take, if I have to go on dialysis, I can't take care of my property. I'm going to have to sell a house, and that's not fair. Because of the 28 years, what I've been going through, living on that corner, heavy rains, we flood. Doesn't rain too heavy, we still flood because of the illegal dumping that's been going on. And bring it to the intention of the former DPW. They've known about it for years and years and years and years, falling on deaf ears. I'm tired of being jerked around. I've had enough. At 74 years old, I think I need a little bit of respect from each department, and I don't see it coming at all. I should realize that, you know, life isn't fair, but in some sense of fairness in this world, if you don't hear my story, and if I sat still, I would be remiss to not tell my story. Because like I said, if I get sick, I have no choice to sell the property and get out of there. So I'm giving it a college try to try to remedy everything about what's been going on here for years. Ralph, can I show a few pictures before we go? I'm going to start from this end up here. And this package is your package. So as I pass these on, I'm still going to talk about my issue. So these pictures illustrate.
I'll explain what it is. There's a loophole.
A Commission on Disabilities, they had another issue there about sidewalks. That sidewalk on my corner is running from Ashley Ave to Toscano Ave. They come down Ashley Ave 35, 40 miles an hour, and there's no sidewalk there. The sidewalk is an imitation sidewalk. So you can't get a baby carriage on that sidewalk. You can't get people with a wheelchair on that sidewalk. You can't people with crutches on that sidewalk because they'll fall and kill themselves. And I brought this to the attention of the city council. Everybody knows about the story. So 6.5 months later, finally, Rosalie Vincent, we got everything organized with the state. And we get up there and I told my story. But what makes me very, very livid, for the past 8, 6, 7 months on the city council, my ward councilors are talking about Ward 2. They're helping people on Ward 2 for sidewalks. They're helping people in Ward 4 for sidewalks. And here I am listening to all this, and I'm in the ward. I got 3 members on the city council. 2 of them live right around the corner from me. And they know the problem for close to 30-something years. And I shouldn't say nothing's being done. They're hearing my story. And it's frustrating, as it's frustrating up here for you guys. You can't get nothing done. And I don't know how and why they've been being up there for all these years. So, and,
I want to say something.
okay.
I just wanted to make a couple of comments. One thing that there's a problem, and it probably has to be changed, that not only the state level, it goes higher than the city level and higher than the state level, it has to come to the federal level. There's a loophole in the ADA laws. The ADA laws that a sidewalk, yes, if it doesn't meet the ADA requirements for the distance, it is not ADA, it's not ADA legally, ADA size-wise, but by the laws that are written on the books, it does not have to become ADA required until the infrastructure gets redone, which needs to be changed on a federal level. So until the roadway or the sidewalk gets redone, that's when the ADA guidelines kick in, that it has to meet all the ADA regulations. So what had happened is, years ago, when that sidewalk, you're saying, was the right distance, why that was ever cut down and how that was ever cut down immediately, that's when the issue should have come up, and it should have put an alert on people. But I can't say what happened back then. But now there's, not only in Revere, because I like I mentioned before, I have a monthly alliance with other cities and communities. There are a lot of cities and towns that don't have sidewalks, that have supposedly like sidewalks as part of the street and whatnot. So a lot of communities are going through that. So it's not a Revere issue only. It's a statewide, and I would even go as far as to say it's a countrywide issue with the ADA guidelines. So until an infrastructure gets resurfaced or redone, sidewalk and street, that's when the ADA guidelines have to be met for the regulations for the distances and whatnot. Now, I know some information for when a street and a sidewalk gets repaved or redone. It doesn't go by, it's this ward councilors or that ward councilors. They had a company come in, Streetscape, and it's not just what you see on the surface. It has to also be done on what's underneath the surface. So what there's a capital improvements that are done, and cities' sidewalks and streets have to go by on a need basis for what's underneath, for what the problem is, and they also have to know of what utility companies are coming in, when they're coming in to do work, so that it's coincided, because they don't want to go in and do a street and do a sidewalk, and then 6 months to a year later, utility companies coming in and ripping everything out again, because you know what happens when they do that. They don't repair it the correct way. It's halfway done, it's not done correctly, and then what happens after? Then you get a sinkhole. Your situation is a little different. It was, from what you're telling me, it was ADA compliant years ago. Then when that development went in there, it was cut down. Why that happened years ago, it didn't. It should have never been cut down. But now that it is smaller, it can't go back in time until that work, that street or that sidewalk is set up with the streetscape when they know what's underneath, if it's coming up on the capital improvements for it to get done and get repaired. There's a whole scope of the streets, there's a whole criteria. There was an outside company that came in with the sonar. Rick, you might know a little bit more about that from the state, when they do the same thing with the streetscape for the highways and whatnot. They see what's underneath the surface, and that's how it's evaluated on what streets and sidewalks get done by the time-wise. So it's not, this one's my friend, counselor, this section gets done, it goes by that. So everything is on there on an agenda. The counselors know when different streets and sidewalks are coming up for repavement or for restructuring or whatnot. But that sidewalk, but that loophole with the ADA stating that it doesn't have to meet the ADA guidelines until a whole street or sidewalk gets done. That's the problem with the federal legislation. So if that doesn't get changed, there's no requirements that they have to do it. So if that gets changed in federal and state levels, then you might be able to see a little bit more of things getting done. So that's the issue that's happening, and it's not just in Revere, it's what I'm getting from all these other towns and communities. So I just wanted to let you know on that too.
No, that was well taken. Again, Ralph, my issue is, the property was built in 1970. 1970 was a full sidewalk. So for 20-plus years, no one even touched that sidewalk. So all of a sudden, the area was developed. So it was developed, and all of a sudden, after so many years later, somebody decided to cut the sidewalk the size that they did. Ridiculous, it's foolish. What's it, ADD is federal? What is that all about?
ADA is American Disabilities Act.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. Now, my next issue is what that's going to be. I'm in a situation that, like I said, I really have a health issue. So there's two issues here, the sidewalk and the flooding. So let's say, for instance, we have an emergency on Toscano Ave, and we have to evacuate somebody. Now, when the ambulance, the fire trucks pull up, do they stand in 2 feet of water and 3 feet of water to pull the patient to evacuate the patient? It's just foolish and it's ridiculous. But that's not the issue why I'm here. The issue why I'm here is because of that sidewalk. The picture illustrates a girl with a baby carriage, for instance. And the existing sidewalk, like I said, it was 48 inches wide. So 20-plus years later, somebody decided to cut the sidewalk, which I'm going to assume that after Caruso Court was put in, according to the city planner, Frank Stringy, Caruso Court was started in 1989, and when it's finished in 1990. Now, we're getting into a whole different scenario, but just being the fact where I was asked, I'm going to explain to you what was going on. So from 1990 to 1996, we started flooding down on Asti and Toscano. And all those years that went by, the city was blaming the state was blaming the city, and it was going back, it's not my job, it's not my job. Who's suffering? We're suffering. It costs me $5,000 a year to live in an area that becomes a swamp, and it's not fair. Then I'm going to hear somebody say life isn't fair, and you're obviously right, and that's why I'm here today, to make it fair. And something has to be done to that corner and to that area. I'm not getting off the subject about the other reason why I'm here. Now I was told by the grapevine, someone had said to me, there's been sidewalks all summer. I'm watching being sidewalks put in near Revere High School, on Washington Ave, all over Revere. Sidewalks, legal sidewalks, no problem with the sidewalks, and all of a sudden, somebody mandated that you have to put new sidewalks in. And watching my city councilmen talk about North Revere putting in sidewalks, live right around the corner from me, and they know the situation down there, and I have that sidewalk, and that's approved for them. Let me finish while I'm on my train of thought, Ralph, I'm sorry. I'm on a roll. 74 years old, I forget. I'm really not a good public speaker, but I'm trying my best. So with that said, the reason why I'm here is because I come to find out that there was no more money to put in sidewalks. So that's what took me out tonight. So that's one reason why I'm up here tonight, just because of that issue. And the other issue is where it's coming to the point now where I ran my limit with the city council. Now I'm working with the state. And another point where Mr. DeCecco just said that there's a federal level. And my next step is the federal level. I cannot let this lay any much longer. Be in fear of my back's against the wall. I'm coming out and I'm going to get something done before God forbid, I hope I don't get sick. So everybody's going to be on the same page as we go along. And one more issue that I have with working with the city solicitor, Cheryl McCormick. We talked about this new Paul Genzio, the new DPW man. He's been invited down to this corner 3 or 4 times. Never seen him, never showed up. So when I went up to, as a matter of fact, the Arrigo administration, Debbie took me up to her office and introduced me to this young lady, and we talked, and here's your form, fill the form out. And when I get into more details about what was going on, and I said, and then I told her, I showed her a few pictures, and she said, my God, how long has this been going on for? For 28 plus years. She was beside herself. Well, anyway, she's on the same page as we all are on the same page. So now it's been 3 weeks, it's 4 weeks, then I went up there and I seen her again, and I got a phone call from Ms. McCormick telling me that Paula Genzio, the DPW the superintendent, had said to me, that's an acceptable sidewalk, and that's the way it's going to be. And I said, well, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, because I got the same words from the past administration, DPW. And I said, this is foolish. And you can rest assured, if this was in anybody's backyard, that's up in that city council, that job would have been done, that would have been taken care of maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks after it was all said and done. But that's neither here nor there. But I'm letting my story be heard. And I'm sure by the time the next city council meeting comes up, it's going to be the 26th, I'll hear something about it. But I'll be there. And they can ask all the questions they want to ask, because I'm going to be acceptable to answer all the questions. So with that said, I'm not here to blindside anybody. I just want to be on the same page. And we're all set. Do we have any questions or anything from anybody?
Just looking at these pictures, Mr. Falzone, this is an atrocity. It's absolutely horrible living conditions. I can't believe this lasted as long as it has.
Thank you.
It's a swimming pool, and it's funny because there's a storm line right in front of that small sidewalk, yet it still gets flooded out like crazy. So, yeah, the catch basin, yeah. So if the sidewalk was wider, it looks like they probably moved the catch basin over when they shortened the sidewalk.
They did. I was there. They
Yeah,
did.
so, right, exactly, yeah. I mean, sidewalk's one thing, but this flooding, this is, wow. This is horrible. I couldn't live down there at all. God bless you for lasting this long. Hopefully it's in the right ears. Hopefully Representative Vincent or Speaker DeLeo, being at the state level, can assist with this and maybe get this on the right track to get this flooding situation fixed, and perhaps get rid of that sidewalk and put another one in, or at the very least just get rid of that sidewalk altogether. You know, maybe just put a curb there for now and just let people just walk in the streets, because it's a lot, you fall off that sidewalk, it's a tough sidewalk to walk on. That lady with her stroller was barely hanging on there.
Exactly.
And her friend's talking to her, and she has to walk in the street. So I could see how some of the side streets are, so I'm throughout this, my job carries me throughout the entire Commonwealth every day. So I see these type of streets and stuff, and although they are, you know, the sidewalks are legal, you know, some of them are acceptable with the city ordinance and how they go, but the flooding is another thing. I mean, they just know you got a little sidewalk and you got a lot of flooding. Should be a little flooding and a lot of sidewalk, you know, but hopefully this won't fall on deaf ears any longer, and you know, we'll just pass off what we heard here tonight onto the other politicians here in the city that you've already spoken to. But I just want to say I feel for you, and these picture tells 1,000 words. These tell the whole story right here. So I'm sorry you're going through what you're going through, Ms. Falzone, and
Thank you.
I wish you well in your health. I know I've been through kinds of stuff like that, so I wish you well and God bless.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you listening to me and my story, so I really appreciate it.
Mr. Falzone, I just wanted to
This is
just
yours.
make a follow-up comment on what happens, like I mentioned before, when Streetscape goes out and finds the streets that are the worst streets underneath. When, like I said, whenever they have to do the streets, they have to make the sidewalks ADA compliant. So that's why you see new sidewalks going in everywhere. They're not just going in, putting sidewalks in places, they're doing the streets. So when they do the streets, they have to also make the sidewalks,
Understood.
and they have to make those ADA compliant.
Understood.
So what it is, there was a company that came in and, so what could be the problem is, Toscano Ave, the street might be no problem there, so that's why Streetscape hasn't had it as a priority to fix that street, even though the sidewalks, so that's why you see other streets and sidewalks getting done first. But I probably can assure you that that is on the thing, and every year there's chapter money that's getting done. So when they say the money is run out, that doesn't mean it's run out just for the time being, because of the weather-wise and whatnot, that what can get done. So that's why when you see Mountain Ave in the high school, all those streets are resurfaced, Mountain Ave, so when the street gets redone by the ADA guidelines for when something gets resurfaced in Sergeant Street, they have to, by law, put new sidewalks in that are ADA compliant. So it's not just sidewalks going in, so rest assured. So they would have to come down there, do the streets, do the sidewalks, all in one shot.
Before I say, I just want to touch on one more point. I was even willing, the last time I spoke to Ms. McCormick, I was even willing to tell Mr. Agenzio, I'd be willing to give up 4 or 5 feet of my property. If that's the case, put the sidewalk, I'll give up 4 to 5 feet, and make it interesting all around, so that you have no problem with traffic, and my sidewalk will be legal, and my wall won't collapse. And not even a phone call, no one came down to even discuss that. And that's not only being rude, that's more or less being arrogant. Who in the hell do they think these people are? Excuse my language. But this is where it's got me now. I'm a nice guy. I could see if I was kind of a nasty guy, and yelling and screaming. But, I'm not here to cast any stones to anybody. I just bring it to everybody's attention. For where I'm going to go with this, I'm really not too sure yet. But I really want to appreciate you guys that you finally listened to me, and thank you so much.
I have one more quick question, because
Absolutely.
I can't remember. Toscano Ave, does it have sidewalks on both sides of the street?
It does.
Okay, because that's the other thing too that can be done by the ADA too. Only one side has to have a sidewalk, so what could be done is they could, like he was saying, it could be eliminated and be part of the roadway, because by ADA guidelines, it has to just be one side has to be ADA compliant. So, but if that was ADA compliant before, that makes a difference. So I'm wondering if the other side wasn't, or is the other side, they didn't cut down the other side? It's
Never
still,
touched. Never touched.
so the other side is still wide enough?
The whole
So,
street is fine. In the corner of Geneva, the same thing is happening. He's losing all his property
yeah.
from the flooding.
That's why,
After
because I
28
couldn't
years.
remember if there was sidewalks on both sides of the street there.
Yeah. But anyway.
All right, thank you. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Yeah, anyone else have any questions or comments in the audience? Anyone here?
I'm here. Want to talk?
What? I saw my sister.
Well, talk to them. Talk to them.
Ricky?
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing much.
How you doing? Okay, everything's good?
Yeah.
All right, you look good.
Thank you.
All right.
Rick?
Yeah, how you doing? Okay, your mom here?
Yeah. How was the Halloween party? How was it, Ricky?
You
No, I didn't.
didn't go either.
Who was there?
No, I was at a very young, I was at a little kid.
You was?
Yeah. I was at one, for small
Oh.
kids. It was like 4 to like 16 years old.
But guess what? When is the baseball game?
The baseball game. The baseball game is not going to be happening until, looks like the spring at this point.
What
But
about,
we are going to have basketball and indoor football and indoor cornhole, which is like a beanbag game. We're going to be playing those. We'll announce
gonna have
that schedule
baseball?
next month.
you gonna have baseball?
Baseball's going to happen in the spring, yeah, not till April.
What else? What other events you gonna have?
We're going to
Basketball?
have basketball, football, some floor hockey. Going to have some fun.
I'm a DJ.
I know, well, you can play some music too, okay?
I play music too.
I know. We'll have to have you bring your music, your mixer. You can play some music, or we're playing sports.
I got a speaker too.
All right. All right. I'll talk to you after, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, have a seat. I'll talk to you after, as soon as we're done here. All right. Okay.
Okay, anyone else have anything else to mention? So we know what we have for next steps and work on getting that letter done so that I can have everyone sign it. Secondly, I will hopefully, we'll see if we have any information about the state grant. Thirdly, I'll relay the mention from Mr. Falzone. What we will do, I believe our inclusion class will be before our next meeting, so then we'll work on getting the final letter for the program so that I could submit that to Revere Cares, MGH on the Move, Revere on the Move. I'm trying to think what else we had, and work on trying to go back at the meetings and talk about some of the subcommittees that we discussed and get that email out to everyone so you can take a look at it and see if there's any other ideas that anyone has for the agenda for next month. All right, and if anything else comes up before then, I will send you some communications. Item 10 is just the monthly reminder, and I'm going to let Rick read that this month since he likes yelling at me how I go off base and read it. So I'll let Mr. Frenny read it.
Item number 10, reminder, the Commission on Disabilities has office hours on Friday from 8:15 to 12:15 in the Veteran Service Office in the rear of the Legion Building at 249 R Broadway, which is next door to City Hall. You can call for an appointment if you would like to, but do not need one. You will be able to talk to someone from our 311 Constituent Service Center on other days when you call our office at 781-286-8267. They will be able to answer. Thank you.
There's still some more.
I apologize, there's another page.
See, that's why
They
it
will
takes
be
me
able to
longer.
answer most questions, but if they are unable to, or you would like a call back from our office, they can transfer you to the disability office's voicemail, and someone will get back to you as soon as they can. Also, please let us know if you would like something discussed or brought up and added to our monthly meeting agenda. You can let us know if you would like to come and speak on any issue or concern. The Commission is here to help and assist all the disabled residents and families of Revere. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Frenny. Before we adjourn, I just want to wish everyone out there to have a happy Thanksgiving, because that will be coming soon, coming right on us. October seemed to fly by, and now November seems to be going very fast also. If I could have a motion to adjourn,
I'll make the motion.
and if I can have a second?
I second that.
Okay. Our meeting is adjourned, and our next meeting will be Tuesday, December 11th at 6 p.m. Thank you and have a good night.